Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead as he worked on the mining equipment deep inside Station Omega 7. The tools were old and always breaking down, but Jake knew how to fix almost anything. He had been working on the frontier for 5 years now, and his hands were good at making broken things work again. The station floated in space near a big rock full of valuable metals. It was not a nice place to live, but it was home to 30 humans who came here to work and make money. The lights in the equipment room were dim, and Jake could hear the steady hum of the station's engines. He liked working late when most people were sleeping. It was quiet and he could think better. Jake was fixing a drill that had stopped working that morning. The other miners needed it ready for tomorrow, or they would lose money. Money was always important on stations like this one. Suddenly, loud alarms started ringing all through the station. Red lights flashed on and off. Jake dropped his tools and listened. The alarms meant something was wrong. Maybe another ship was coming, or maybe the station was in danger? Jake ran toward the main hallway to see what was happening. Commander Pete Bradley's voice came through the speakers. All crew report to stations. Unknown ship has docked without permission. Security. Team to dock in Bay 3. Jake knew that voice meant trouble. Ships did not come to their station very often, and when they did, they always asked first. Jake hurried to the docking bay to see what was going on. When he got there, he saw 4 security guards standing around something big. The guards had their weapons ready but not pointed. Jake moved closer and saw what they were guarding. It was not human. The creature was tall, maybe 7 feet, with dark green scales covering its body. Its head was long like a lizard, with yellow eyes that looked very tired. This was a Soren, one of the reptile people from the other side of space. Jake had never seen one in person before, but everyone knew about them. Sorens thought humans were weak and stupid. They called humans warm bloods like it was a bad word. Most Sorens would not even talk to humans, but this Soren looked different. Its scales were cut and scratched. There was dried blood on its arms and legs. The creature was breathing hard, and Jake could see it was hurt badly. Its yellow eyes looked around at all the humans, but not with anger or hate. The Soren looked scared and very tired. Commander Bradley walked into the docking bay. He was a big man with gray hair who had been running the station for 10 years. Nothing surprised him anymore, but Jake could see he was not happy about this. Visitor, what do we have here? The commander asked. One of the guards spoke up. Sir, this Soren came in a small ship. The ship is damaged and almost out of fuel. The Soren says it wants to talk to you. Commander Bradley looked at the creature carefully. Sorens don't usually want to talk to humans. What's your name and why are you here? The Soren stood up straighter, even though Jake could see it was hard for the creature to do. When it spoke, its voice was deep but clear. I am called Zaraka. I request asylum at your station. I have nowhere else to go? Jake was surprised. The Soren spoke perfect English. Most Sorens refused to learn human languages. They thought their own language was better than anything humans could understand. But this one, Zaraka, spoke like someone who had studied human words for a long time. Commander Bradley frowned. Asylum? From what? Did you commit a crime? Zaraka's head moved down a little. I defended humans when my people wanted to hurt them. For this I was declared an outcast. If I return home, they will kill me. If I stay in space, I will die alone. Your station is my only hope. The guards looked at each other. Jake could see they did not trust the Soren. Humans and Sorens had fought wars before. Even now, there was no real peace between them, just an agreement not to fight. Having a Soren on the station could cause big problems, but Jake watched Zaraka and saw something the others missed. The Soren was shaking. At first, Jake thought it was from fear or pain, but then he realized it was something else. Zaraka was cold. The station kept the air warm enough for humans, but maybe not warm enough for a creature from a hot planet. Commander Bradley thought for a long moment. I'll give you temporary shelter, but you'll be watched at all times. Any trouble? And you're back in space, understood? Zaraka nodded quickly. I understand. Thank you, Commander. I will cause no problems. Morrison, the commander called. Jake stepped forward. Take our guest to guest bay 4. Make sure the door locks from the outside. Jake looked at Zaraka again. The Soren was still shaking, and its breathing seemed harder now. Sir, guest bay 4 is in the cold section. Maybe we should— That's an order, Morrison, Commander Bradley said firmly. Jake nodded. Yes, sir. He turned to Zaraka. Follow me. As they walked through the station hallways, Jake noticed that Zaraka was moving slower and slower. The Soren's feet made soft sounds on the metal floor. Other crew members they passed stared and whispered to each other. Most looked afraid or angry. Jake had never seen a Soren up close before, but Zaraka seemed more like a person than a monster. Are you hurt badly? Jake asked as they walked. Zaraka looked at him with surprise. You care about my injuries? Well, you're bleeding, Jake said, and you look like you're in pain. Not used to kindness from humans, Zaraka said. Quietly, my wounds will heal, but I am very cold. Is your station always this temperature? Jake realized the problem. You need heat, don't you? Like real heat, not just warm air? Yes, Zaraka said. My people need much warmth to live. This cold is difficult. They reached guest bay 4. Jake opened the door and looked inside. The room was small and basic, with just a bed and a small table. But it was in the outer part of the station, where the walls were thicker and the air was colder. Jake could see his breath in the room. Zaraka walked inside and immediately started shaking worse. The Soren sat on the bed and wrapped its arms around itself. This will have to do, Zaraka said, but Jake could hear the fear in its voice. Jake made a decision. No, it won't. He helped Zaraka stand up. Come on, you'll freeze to death in here. But your commander said— The commander said to make sure you were secure. He didn't say you had to die of cold. Jake started walking back down the hallway with Zaraka following. My quarters are warmer. You can stay there tonight. Zaraka stopped walking. Why would you help me? Your people and my people are enemies. Jake turned around. Maybe our governments are enemies. But right now, you're just someone who needs help, and I can give it. That's what matters. For the first time since arriving, Zaraka's eyes showed something other than fear. I begin to understand why I risked everything to defend your kind. Jake smiled. Let's get you warm first. Then you can tell me that story. Jake's quarters were much warmer than the guest bay, but even here, Zaraka continued to shake. Jake helped the Soren sit on his small couch and turned up the heat as high as it would go. The air became warm enough that Jake had to take off his jacket, but Zaraka still looked cold. I need to call Dr. Lisa Chun, Jake said. She should look at your wounds. Will she help a Soren? Zaraka asked. Lisa helps anyone who needs it. That's what doctors do. Jake pressed the communication button on his wall. Dr. Chun, this is Jake Morrison. I need you in my quarters right away. Medical emergency. Doctor. Lisa Chun arrived 10 minutes later with her medical bag. She was a small woman with quick hands and smart eyes. When she saw Zaraka, she stopped for just a moment, then walked over like treating Sorens was something she did every day. What are the symptoms? Lisa asked Jake while she looked at Zaraka. Cold, really cold, and those cuts and bruises. Lisa took out a small device that measured body temperature. She pointed it at Zaraka and frowned at the reading. This is bad. Normal Soren body temperature should be much higher than this. You're going into hypothermia. Zaraka tried to speak, but the words came out slowly. My people need heat. Without it. Lisa worked quickly, cleaning the cuts and wrapping the bad ones. Jake, I need you to find every heater on this station. Bring them here. Also, get all the warm blankets you can find. Jake ran through the station, gathering portable heaters from other rooms. Most people were sleeping, so he tried to be quiet. But he did wake up 2 other crew members who asked what he was doing. When Jake explained, they both offered to help. By the time Jake returned with 4 heaters and a pile of blankets, Lisa had finished treating Zaraka's wounds. The Soren looked a little better, but still very weak. The cuts will heal fine, Lisa said. But the cold is the real problem. Saurons are cold-blooded like Earth reptiles. Their bodies can't make heat the way ours can. They need outside heat. Sources to survive. Jake plugged in all the heaters and pointed them at Zaraka. He wrapped the Sauron in 3 thick blankets. Slowly, Zaraka stopped shaking so much. "Thank you," Zaraka said to Lisa. "I did not expect human medical care to work on my people." "Bodies are bodies," Lisa said. "The basic needs are usually the same, but you're going to need constant heat for the next few days while your system recovers. Can you tell us what happened?" "To you?" Zaraka was quiet for a moment, then began to speak. "I was a cultural liaison for the Sauron Empire. My job was to study other species and help our government understand them. I spent 3 years learning about humans. I read your books, watched your movies, studied your history." Jake sat down to listen. He had never heard a Sauron talk about humans this way. "The more I learned about humans, the more I respected them," Zaraka continued. "Humans are not perfect, but you have something my people lack. You care about others, even strangers. You help those who are different from you. When I saw this, I wanted my people to learn from humans instead of fighting them." Lisa checked Zaraka's temperature again. It was getting better, but still too low. "What changed? Why are you here now?" Zaraka's eyes became sad. 2 weeks ago, Sauron forces captured a human research ship. The humans were just studying plants on an empty planet, but our military said they were spies. The High Council ordered all the humans to be executed. Jake felt angry. "That's murder. Those, people did nothing wrong." "I agreed with you," Zaraka said. "I spoke to the High Council. I told them that killing innocent humans was wrong. I said we should learn from humans, not destroy them." The other council members became very angry. They said I was corrupted by human weakness. "But you didn't stop there, did you?" Lisa asked. Zaraka shook her head. "That night I helped the human prisoners escape. I gave them a ship and told them how to get back to human space. When the High Council found out, they declared me a traitor. They said any Sauron who helps humans is no longer one of us." Jake understood now. "So you can never go home?" "Never. If other Saurons find me, they will kill me for helping humans, but I do not regret what I did." "Those humans deserve to live." Lisa finished packing her medical supplies. "You need to stay warm and rest. Jake, keep those heaters running." "All night. I'll check on our patient in the morning." After Lisa left, Jake made some hot soup and gave it to Zaraka. The Sauron drank it slowly, and Jake could see that the warm liquid helped. "Why are you helping me?" Zaraka asked. "You could get in trouble with your commander." Jake thought about it. "Because you did the right thing, even when it cost you everything. That takes courage. And because no one should die of cold when I can prevent it." "But I am Sauron. We have been enemies for so long." "You're not my enemy," Jake said. "You saved human lives. That makes you a friend." Zaraka looked at Jake with wonder. "This is why I defended your people. This kindness, this willingness to help others. Saurons think these things make humans weak, but I believe they make humans strong." Jake started working on his personal heater controls, trying to make the room even warmer. "Tell me more about your people. Help me understand them." "Saurons value strength above all else," Zaraka explained. "We believe the strongest should rule and the weak should serve. Emotions like kindness or mercy are seen as flaws that make you vulnerable. When I showed mercy to humans, other Saurons saw it as proof that I was defective." "That sounds like a lonely way to live," Jake said. "It is. Saurons do not have friends the way humans do. We have allies and enemies, but rarely anything in between. Watching human friendships was one of the most beautiful things I discovered in my research." Jake worked on the heater for another hour, making small adjustments to get more heat into the room. Zaraka watched him work with growing amazement. "You are spending your sleep time to help me stay warm," Zaraka observed. "You need help. I can provide it. It's that simple." "No, it is not simple at all. What you are doing requires sacrifice and compassion. These are not simple things. They are remarkable things." Jake finished his work and tested the temperature. The room was now warm enough that he was sweating, but Zaraka finally looked comfortable. "Get some sleep," Jake said. "I'll take the floor. You need the warm spot near the heaters. I cannot take your bed." "You're not taking it. I'm giving it to you. There's a difference." As Zaraka settled on the bed surrounded by heaters and blankets, Jake made a sleeping spot on the floor. Before he went to sleep, Zaraka spoke one more time. "Jake Morrison, you have shown me more kindness in one day than I received from my own people in years. I will remember this always." "Just get better," Jake said. "Tomorrow we'll figure out how to make you more comfortable long term." But even as Jake tried to sleep, he worried. The heating system was not really designed for Soren needs. He would have to find a way to modify it, or Zaraka might not survive more than a few days on the station. Jake had never worked on life support systems before, but he was determined to learn. Someone was counting on him, and Jake Morrison never let people down when they needed help. Jake woke up early and found Zaraka sitting up on the bed looking much better than the night before. The Soren scales had more color, and the shaking had stopped. Jake checked the heaters to make sure they were still working properly. "How do you feel?" Jake asked. "Much better, thanks to you. The warmth helped my body recover during the night. But I am still colder than I should be for good health." Jake had been thinking about this problem all night. "I want to modify the heating system in here. Make it better for your needs. It might take a few days, but I think I can do it." Zaraka looked surprised. "You would do that for me?" "Of course. You're going to be here for a while, right? Might as well make you comfortable." Jake spent the morning studying the station's heating systems. He read technical manuals and drew diagrams of how the air flowed through the rooms. The other crew members started to notice what he was doing. Some of them were not happy about it. "Why are you wasting time on that lizard?" asked Carl Peters, one of the miners. "It's just going to cause trouble." "Zaraka isn't causing trouble," Jake said. "And improving the heating system helps everyone." "You're getting too friendly with that thing," Carl said. "People are starting to talk." Jake ignored him and kept working. By afternoon, he had a plan to install better heating elements in his quarters. It would take several days and a lot of work, but it could be done. When Jake returned to his quarters, he found Commander Bradley talking to Zaraka. Both of them looked serious. "Morrison," the commander said, "we have a problem. A Soren warship just came out of hyperspace. They're asking about our guest here." Jake felt his stomach drop. "What kind of warship?" "A hunter ship. Small, fast, heavily armed." The captain identified himself as Kethral. "He says he's looking for a Soren criminal." Zaraka had gone very still. "Kethral is the Empire's best hunter. He has never failed to bring back his target. If he is here, they sent him to kill me." Commander Bradley looked at both of them. "He's demanding permission to search the station. If I say no, he might attack us. If I say yes, he'll find you." "Give me to him," Zaraka said quietly. "I will not let humans die because of me." "No," Jake said immediately. "There has to be another way." "What other way?" the commander asked. "We're a mining station with basic defenses." "That's a military ship with enough firepower to destroy us." Jake's mind raced. What exactly did this Kethral say? Did he say he knew Zaraka was here? He said he was tracking a criminal who might have stopped here for repairs. He doesn't seem certain. "Then maybe we can convince him that Zaraka isn't here," Jake said. Commander Bradley shook his head. "Hunter ships have advanced sensors. He'll detect Soren life signs as soon as he scans the station." Zaraka stood up from the bed. "I should go to him now, before he becomes suspicious. Perhaps I can convince him that I came here to gather information about humans, not to seek help from them." "That won't work," Jake said. "He'll see that you've been treated by our doctor and that you're living in warm quarters. He'll know we helped you." The communication system beeped. "Station Omega 7, this is Hunter Kethral. I'm coming aboard to search for the criminal Zaraka. Prepare to be boarded." Commander Bradley activated the communicator. "Hunter Kethral, this is Commander Bradley. We will cooperate with your search, but our station has security protocols that must be followed. Your protocols are irrelevant, human. I will board your station in 1 hour. Have all personnel ready for questioning. The communication ended. Commander Bradley turned to Jake and Zaraka. 1 hour. That's all the time we have. Jake was already moving toward his toolkit. I need to hide the heating modifications I made. If Kethral sees them, he'll know we were helping Zaraka survive. It will not matter, Zaraka said sadly. Kethral will smell my scent in these quarters. He will know I was here for more than a few minutes. Then we need a different plan, Jake said. He thought hard for a moment. What if you weren't hiding? What if you were studying us? What do you mean? Commander Bradley asked. Zaraka said she used to be a cultural liaison. What if she's here on official business? Studying human mining? Operations for the Soren Empire? Zaraka shook her head. Kethral knows I am an outcast. He will not believe I am here on Empire business. But what if you weren't an outcast when you arrived? What if you became one while you were here? Commander Bradley started to understand. You mean make it look like Zaraka came here as a spy, but then decided to defect after learning about us? Exactly, Jake said. Kethral expects to find a desperate criminal begging for help. Instead, he finds a cultural researcher who chose to abandon the Empire after seeing how humans really live. That is very dangerous, Zaraka said. If Kethral believes I am a traitor, he will kill me immediately. But if he believes you're just confused or misguided, he might try to convince you to come back, Jake said. That gives us time to think of something else. Commander Bradley nodded slowly. It's risky, but it might work. We need to make it look like you've been studying us openly, not hiding. Jake started disconnecting the extra heaters and hiding the evidence of his heating modifications. Zaraka, you need to move to the guest quarters now. Make it look like you've been staying there the whole time. But those quarters are too cold. I will become sick again. Only for a few hours, Jake said. As soon as Kethral leaves, we'll get you somewhere warm. They worked quickly to prepare for the hunter's arrival. Jake moved all signs of Zaraka's stay from his quarters. Commander Bradley prepared false records showing that Zaraka had requested permission to study human mining techniques. Zaraka practiced explaining her presence as legitimate research that had gradually opened her eyes to human virtues. 30 minutes later, the Soren hunter ship docked with the station. Jake watched through a window as Kethral came aboard. The hunter was bigger than Zaraka, with darker scales and scars on his face and arms. He moved with the confidence of someone who had never been defeated. 2 Soren soldiers followed Kethral onto the station. They carried advanced weapons that looked more powerful than anything the humans had. Commander Bradley met them at the docking bay with a security escort. Welcome to Station Omega 7, Commander Bradley said. How can we help you find this criminal? Kethral looked around the docking bay with obvious disgust. This place smells like humans. It is unpleasant. His voice was deeper and harsher than Zaraka's. The criminal I seek is called Zaraka, a traitor who helped human prisoners escape from Soren justice. We do have a Soren visitor, Commander, Bradley said carefully. But this individual came here on official research business. Show me this visitor immediately. They walked through the station to the guest quarters where Zaraka was waiting. Jake followed at a distance, ready to help, if needed. When they reached the cold guest room, Jake could see that Zaraka was already starting to shiver again. Kethral entered the room and stared at Zaraka for a long moment. So, the mighty cultural liaison has fallen low enough to study primitive humans. These humans are not as primitive as our records indicate, Zaraka said, trying to sound official rather than desperate. Their mining techniques are more advanced than expected. I came to study their methods and determine if they pose a threat to Empire interests. And what have you learned? Kethral asked. Zaraka looked directly at the hunter. I have learned that humans are more complex than we believed. They show kindness to strangers and work together in ways that are unexpected. Kethral's eyes narrowed. You sound like you admire these creatures. I am simply reporting my observations, Zaraka sighed. But Jake could hear something in her voice that worried him. Kethrael stepped closer to Zaraka. The Zaraka I seek would say exactly these things. The question is whether you are a researcher who has been corrupted by human contact, or a traitor who is pretending to be a researcher. Jake realized their plan was not working. Kethrael was too smart to be fooled by their story. Worse, Jake could see that Zaraka was getting colder by the minute in the unheated guest room. Soon, the effects would be obvious to everyone. I have one more question, Kethrael said to Zaraka. If I ordered you to return to the Empire with me right now, would you come willingly? Zaraka hesitated for just a moment too long. Of course. I serve the Empire. Kethrael smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. No, you do not. You are exactly who I came here to find. Kethrael moved toward Zaraka with his hand on his weapon, but Commander Bradley stepped between them. Wait, you can't just take someone from my station without proof of wrongdoing. I need no proof, Kethrael said coldly. I am a hunter of the Soren Empire. My word is law. Not on a human station, Commander Bradley replied firmly. Here, my word is law. If you want to take this individual, you need to show me evidence of crimes. Jake watched nervously as the two commanders faced each other. Kethrael was bigger and had better weapons, but Commander Bradley was not backing down. Jake could see that Zaraka was getting weaker from the cold, but was trying hard not to show it. Very well, Kethrael said finally. I will present evidence. But first, I want to examine this station myself. I want to see exactly how this criminal has been living among you humans. Commander Bradley nodded. You may inspect any part of the station, but one of my crew will accompany you. I will go with him, Jake said quickly. Kethrael looked at Jake with interest. And you are? Jake Morrison, station engineer. An engineer who works with alien technology? How interesting. You will show me everything. As they left the guest quarters, Jake saw Zaraka sitting on the bed, still trying to look official rather than sick. Jake wanted to help, but he knew that showing too much concern would make Kethrael suspicious. Jake led Kethrael through the station, showing him the mining equipment, the living quarters, and the common areas. The hunter asked many questions about how humans lived and worked. He seemed particularly interested in the heating systems. Your station is very warm, Kethrael observed, much warmer than Soren ships. Humans need consistent temperatures to work efficiently, Jake explained. Yes, I have heard this about your species. You are very dependent on artificial warmth. Kethrael sounded like he thought this was a weakness. Tell me, engineer, has the criminal Zaraka required any special accommodations during the stay here? Jake tried to keep his voice casual. All visitors get standard guest quarters and standard station services. Nothing special, I see. And these standard services include medical care? If needed, yes. Kethrael stopped walking and looked directly at Jake. You're lying to me, human. I can smell Zaraka's scent in places other than the guest quarters. The scent is strongest near your personal quarters. Jake's heart started beating faster. I don't know what you mean. I think you do. I think you have been helping Zaraka in ways that go beyond standard services. I think you have formed some kind of attachment to this criminal. Before Jake could answer, they heard a noise from the direction of the guest quarters. It sounded like someone falling. Both Jake and Kethrael ran back toward the sound they found. Zaraka on the floor of the guest room, shaking badly from the cold. Dr. Lisa Chun was already there, having heard the noise too. She was checking Zaraka's temperature with her medical scanner. Temperature is dropping fast, Lisa said to Commander Bradley. This individual needs heat immediately or we're going to have serious medical problems. Kethrael looked at the scene, and his eyes became hard. So, the humans have been providing medical care and warmth to help this criminal survive. This proves that Zaraka has been manipulating you. We help anyone who needs medical attention, Lisa said firmly. It's what doctors do. No, Kethrael said. It is what weak species do. Strong species let the weak die naturally. Jake could not stay quiet any longer. That's not weakness. That's being decent. Zaraka was hurt and cold when she got here. We help because that's the right thing to do. The right thing? Kethral laughed harshly. This criminal betrayed her own people to help humans. She deserves to die for that betrayal. Instead, you humans reward her treachery with kindness. This proves that your species is too soft to survive. Maybe we're soft, Jake said, getting angry. But at least we don't abandon people who need help. Kethral stepped closer to Jake. You speak boldly for such a small creature. Tell me, why do you care so much about this criminal? What has she promised you in return for your help? She hasn't promised me anything. I help her because she needs help and I can provide it. That's all. Impossible. No one sacrifices for others without expecting something in return. What do you really want from Zaraka? Jake looked down at Zaraka, who was still shaking on the floor despite Lisa's efforts to warm her. I want her to live. I want her to be safe and warm and not afraid. That's what I want. Kethral stared at Jake like he was looking at something completely foreign. You ask for nothing for yourself? What I get is the knowledge that I helped someone who needed help. That's enough. For a long moment, Kethral said nothing. Jake could see confusion in the hunter's eyes, as if Jake had said something that did not make sense in any language Kethral knew. Dr. Lisa spoke up. Commander, I need to get this patient somewhere warm right now. The medical situation is becoming critical. Commander Bradley nodded. Morrison, take Zaraka to your quarters. Get those heaters running again. No, Kethral said. I forbid this. The criminal will come with me to my ship. Your ship is even colder than our guest quarters. Jake said, you'll kill her before you get home. That is not your concern, human. Jake made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. He picked up Zaraka from the floor, lifting the large Soren in his arms. Yes, it is my concern. I'm not letting you take her to die. Kethral pulled out his weapon. Put the criminal down, or I will kill you both. Then you'll have to kill me, Jake said, because I'm not putting her down. Commander Bradley and his security team drew their weapons too. Suddenly, everyone was pointing guns at everyone else. But Jake just stood there holding Zaraka, looking directly at Kethral. You would die for this criminal? Kethral asked. I would die to protect someone who doesn't deserve to be hurt, Jake said. Wouldn't you? I would die for the Empire. For honor, for duty, but not for a stranger who means nothing to me. Then I feel sorry for you, Jake said. Because protecting strangers who need help is one of the best things about being alive. Zaraka spoke weakly from Jake's arms. Jake Morrison, you... Jake woke up early and found Kethral standing by the window, looking out at the stars. The hunter had been awake for a long time, thinking about everything that had happened. Zaraka was still sleeping, warm and safe under the blankets Jake had given her. Good morning, Jake said quietly, trying not to wake Zaraka. Kethral turned from the window. I have been watching your star patterns. They are different from the ones I know. It reminds me how far I am from home. Are you homesick? Jake asked. I am confused. I came here believing I understood the universe and my place in it. Now I am not certain of anything. Jake started making breakfast for everyone. As he worked, he could feel Kethral watching him. What confuses you the most? You, Kethral said simply. Yesterday, you risked your life for someone who could give you nothing in return. In my culture, such behavior would be seen as madness. But you acted like it was the most natural thing in the world. It felt natural, Jake said. When someone needs help and you can provide it, you help. What's confusing about that? Everything. Where I come from, we help only family or allies who can help us back. We compete with everyone else. But humans seem to help anyone who needs it, even strangers or enemies. Zaraka stirred and woke up. She looked much better after a warm night's sleep. Good morning, Jake. Good morning, Kethral. Have you decided what to do with me? Kethral was quiet for a long moment. I have decided what I must do. But first, I want to understand something. Jake Morrison, will you answer a question honestly? I'll try, Jake said. If I take Zaraka back to Soren space, she will be executed. Knowing this, would you try to stop me? Jake looked at Zaraka, then back at Kethral. Yes, I would try to stop you. Even though stopping me might mean war between our peoples, I would try to find a way to stop you that didn't cause a war. But if I had to choose between letting an innocent person die and risking a fight, I would risk the fight. Why? Zaraka is not human. Her death would not directly harm your people. Jake thought about how to explain something that seemed obvious to him. Because she's a person. She thinks and feels and has hopes for the future. The fact that she's not human doesn't make her life worth less than mine. Kethral shook his head in amazement. You truly believe this? Don't you believe your life is valuable? Jake asked. Of course. Why? Because I'm strong. Because the first served the Empire. Because I have earned my place through combat and achievement. Those are good reasons, Jake said. But I think your life would be valuable even if you weren't strong or successful. Just because you exist and you have thoughts and feelings that matter. This seemed to puzzle Kethral more than anything else Jake had said. You would value the life of a weak Soren the same as a strong one? I would value any life. Weak, strong, smart, simple, it doesn't matter. Everyone deserves a chance to live and be happy. Commander Bradley's voice came through the communication system. Morrison, please report to the command center with our guests. We need to discuss the situation. When they arrived at the command center, Jake saw that the entire senior crew was there. Dr. Lisa Shun, Chief Engineer Matt Barnes, Security Chief Roy Clark, and several others. Everyone looked tense. Hunter Kethral, Commander Bradley said formally. Have you reached a decision about Zaraka? I have, Kethral said. But first, I want to make a proposal to all of you. This surprised everyone. Proposals were not something hunters usually made. I came here expecting to find a primitive human outpost sheltering a criminal, Kethral continued. Instead, I found something I did not expect. I found humans who risked their own safety to help others. I found technology shared freely instead of hoarded. I found people who value life simply because it exists. Jake exchanged glances with Commander Bradley. Nobody knew where this was going. In my 3 days here, I have learned more about human nature than in years of studying intelligence reports. Your people possess something my people have forgotten, if we ever had it at all. You have compassion, Dr. Lisa spoke up. What exactly are you proposing? I am proposing that I report to the Soren Empire that Zaraka died while resisting capture. This will satisfy my orders and allow her to remain here safely. Everyone was quiet for a moment. Zaraka looked shocked. Kethral, you would lie to the Empire for me? Not for you, for the truth. The truth is that the Soren who helped human prisoners escape was brave and noble. The truth is that humans are not the weak creatures the Empire believes them to be. The truth is that I have seen a better way for different species to live together. Commander Bradley leaned forward. What do you want in return? I want Zaraka to remain here as a cultural liaison. I want her to continue learning about humans and sharing that knowledge with other Sorens who might be ready to listen. And I want to return to Empire space with a proposal for peaceful cooperation with human colonies. Jake could hardly believe what he was hearing. You're going to try to change Soren policy? I'm going to try to change Soren thinking. It will be dangerous and difficult, but I believe it is necessary. My people need to learn what I have learned here. Zaraka stepped forward. Kethral, if you do this, you risk becoming an outcast yourself. The High Council will not welcome new ideas about humans. Perhaps. But I would rather risk exile for speaking truth than live safely while supporting lies. You taught me that. When you saved those human prisoners, Jake felt a warmth in his chest that had nothing to do with the station's heating system. So Zaraka can stay? If she wishes to, and if your people will have her, Commander Bradley looked around at his crew. What does everyone think? Should we accept Zaraka as a permanent cultural liaison? The vote was unanimous. Everyone wanted Zaraka to stay. Dr. Lisa stepped forward. I'll make sure we have proper medical facilities for Soren physiology. We should be prepared if other Sorens come to visit. Chief Engineer Barnes nodded. I'll work with Morrison to design better heating systems for non-human crew members. This could be useful for other species too. Jake felt proud of his crew. They were already thinking about how to make the station better for everyone, not just humans. Kethral prepared to leave that afternoon. Before he boarded his ship, he spoke privately with Jake. I want to thank you, Engineer Morrison. You showed me something I thought was impossible. What's that? You showed me that strength and kindness are not opposites. You showed me that helping others makes a person stronger, not weaker. I will carry this lesson back to my people. Good luck, Jake said. And be careful. Change is never easy. No, it is not, but it is necessary. Kethral paused. Will you continue to care for Zaraka? Jake smiled. She's not going to need much caring for. She's pretty capable on her own, but yes, if she needs help, I'll be here. As Kethral's ship departed, Jake and Zaraka watched from the observation deck. The stars looked the same as always, but something fundamental had changed. Two species that had been enemies were now taking the first steps toward understanding each other. What will you do now? Jake asked Zaraka. I will study your people more. I will write reports about human culture and send them to Sorens who might listen. I will try to build bridges between our worlds. She looked at Jake. And I will try to be worthy of the friendship you have shown me. You already are, Jake said. You were brave enough to do the right thing when it cost you everything. That's all anyone can ask. That night, Jake worked on expanding the heating system throughout the station. If more Sorens were going to visit, he wanted them to be comfortable. As he worked, he thought about everything that had happened. A few days ago, he had been just an engineer fixing mining equipment. Now he was part of something bigger, something that might change how different species related to each other across the galaxy. Zaraka found him working late in the engineering section. Jake Morrison, you are improving the station again. For people you have never met. Maybe some of those people will be friends I just haven't met yet, Jake said. Besides, building things that help others is what I do best. This is why I believed humans were worth saving, Zaraka said. This kindness, this hope for the future, this willingness to work for others, these are not weaknesses. These are the things that make humans strong. Jake finished installing a new heating element and tested it. Perfect temperature for Soren comfort. Maybe strength isn't about being the toughest or the smartest. Maybe it's about being willing to help others be their best selves. I think you're right, Zaraka said. And I think the galaxy is about to learn something new about what it means to be strong. Outside the station, the stars continued their ancient dance. But for the first time in generations, those stars looked down on two species that were choosing cooperation over conflict, understanding over prejudice, and hope over fear. It was a small beginning, but small beginnings often lead to great changes. And it all started because one human engineer decided that everyone deserves to be warm.